All right, so you are in the process of looking for a job. How do you do that? A couple of things you need to keep in mind. Number one, it's a full-time job looking for a job. Some people don't think of it that way, but when you are looking for a job, it takes a lot of time. It takes a ton of effort. It's an extremely exhausting process. And so I always tell people, think about the job search like you would a regular job. You should have set hours in your day. Have a regular work week. Take Saturday and Sunday off just like you would normally for most jobs. Be positive. Be energetic. You know you're going to make mistakes. Learn from them and figure out a way around them. Devote time and energy to it. Always put yourself into this task because finding a job is really, really critical. In businesses, they have to market their product. Well, you're the product in this case. You're the person that's looking for the job, so you need to market yourself. And you need to do things that are going to make you interesting and marketable for the jobs that you're applying for. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, the unemployment rate. Now, there's different ways of looking at the unemployment rate. There's the way that's officially reported. You can add in some more statistics, which raises it. And then if you add in everybody that's just not employed or part-time for economic reasons, you can see that there's a big problem. I mean, there's a high unemployment rate right now. That does not necessarily mean you can't find a job. It just means you have to work a little bit harder. But depending on the field, the jobs are there. It's a matter of finding the place where you can get, geographically, where you can get that job and hopefully get an interview. And that's probably one of the hardest things to do in the job search. Searching for jobs is not very difficult. Applying for jobs is not very difficult. But actually getting your foot in the door and getting an interview can be really difficult. So I always tell people, it's the 21st century. You got to think technology-wise. If you're still clipping little pieces out of the newspaper and that's where you're searching for a job from, you need to expand your ideas of what a job search is. Obviously, the phone's important, but you have email access now. You have all kinds of opportunities, all kinds of ways. Social media, for instance, is a great way for you to reach out. And you want to look for connectors. And you probably know more of these people than you realize. Connectors can be teachers. They can be ministers. They can be business owners. The person that cuts your hair is a connector because they talk to all kinds of people. They work with multiple people every day. They hear things, they know things, and they're aware of somebody comes in and says, I had to let somebody go, or I'm looking for somebody to fill this position, and they know that. Mention that you're searching for a job. Don't be afraid to tell people about that because that expands your reach far more than you realize because these people are connections to other people, and they can get your information and your job search to people that you don't even know. I always recommend don't be afraid to tell people that you're searching for a job. Now, with one exception, if you're looking for a job and your current employer doesn't know that, you might not want to be broadcasting that to the world. But in the sense that you are not employed and looking for a job, make sure people know that you're looking because you may get resources and information from places you never imagined. And it's true. Most hiring managers will tell you they like to hire with recommendations from trusted employees. Now, that trusted employee could be a family member or a friend of yours. If they're employed and they know you're looking, they can be the source to a hiring manager to get you that interview. So don't be afraid to talk to people about this stuff. Keep that in mind as a great potential to expand your reach far more than just looking on the internet or looking through the newspaper or talking to, employment agencies. Think about your family and friends as a circle as well. And that's called networking. And networking is a really great thing while you're employed. It's a really great thing when you're unemployed. Because networking is an opportunity for you to make contacts that can, number one, get you into a job, and number two, can expand your professional career as you are working. Because contacts, again, are people that will inform you of things going on that you may not have access to otherwise. You can hand out business cards. You can talk to family and friends. You can find people that have similar interests in you or work in a similar profession and make contact with them. Get their information. Keep in touch. That can be as simple as an email. It can be a quick phone call. It can be, hey, you see them at church or you see them at the park or walking the dog, whatever. But when you make contact with people, you want to nurture those contacts. And then finally, because technology has become such a big deal, there is the social media aspect. Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, are just 4 of many potential networking sites. If you have a Facebook page, update your status to job searching and let people know that you're looking for a job. You might be surprised people that are in your circle of friends that have knowledge of a job that you're qualified for, they aren't going to tell you about unless they know you're looking. Keep that in mind always. Networking is a fantastic way to build relationships. You also want to think about using a social media aspect. Now, I always recommend LinkedIn first because that's the most common in terms of professional contacts. But if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you might have a Facebook account or you might have a Twitter feed. Those things can be really good for getting into a job situation. 80% of corporations use LinkedIn to find talent for positions. Now, LinkedIn's one of those things you can work on constantly, you can keep up with constantly. You don't have to just think about that when you're unemployed. I've had a LinkedIn account for a couple of years now. I have connections that I keep up with. Some are here at Patrick Henry, but some are from other places I've worked, and some are not even related to the jobs I do. They're just people that I've met over time that I connect with, I stay in touch with. It's a great way to have ongoing network relationship that gives you inside access to other things you might not have otherwise, especially in a professional sense. Now, on the plus side, yes, social media can be great for helping you find a job. On the negative side, social media can completely derail your job search and or career. Some people post things that are, for them, not a big deal, but for others may be considered inappropriate. You have to think about professionalism, especially when you are in the job search mode. You do not want somebody to be like, oh, hey, I've got this connection possibility here, social media, and they look at it and it's information that they really don't want to know about you, and it may be enough for them to say, I'm not interested. And you've just derailed a great opportunity simply because you had something that was inappropriate. I recommend always professionalism. Doesn't matter if you're out walking the dog, when you're making contacts with people, being courteous, being professional is a very important thing. And in the business sense, it's critical. There is no such thing as private on the internet. So if you think, oh, I've got a very tight circle of friends and I've got privacy settings and everything's secure, no, it's not. Assume that it is most definitely not secure. Because you can have stuff on there that you think only a few people can see, and it can be out there for everyone to see. So in the sense of social media, it's a great tool, but it can be a real serious problem as well. And this might be useful to you to know as college students. 1 in 10 within your age group have lost a job opportunity because of social media, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Very simply, those things cannot give you the job opportunities you're looking for. They can actually derail you. So it's very important that you keep in mind your profiles, your pictures, your updates, all those things should be professional. If they're not, you might want to consider deleting them for a while. Maybe you'll put it back on there later, but if somebody's looking up that stuff and they see it, it can be enough for them to derail your job search. There are thousands, probably millions of job search websites out there. I've given you a list of about, 12 or so. These are very simple to find. Some of them are related specifically to Virginia, like Virginia Workforce Connection or jobs.virginia.gov, which is the Virginia state government website. If you're applying for a job within state government, and that could be Patrick Henry Community College, that could be working for any kind of government organization in the state, that's the website you go with. Indeed.com, Simply Hired, Jobster, Beyond. These are kind of aggregate websites that give you a great number of job opportunities, usually based on your location. So you can go in there, you can type in Martinsville, Virginia, and find the jobs that are available in Martinsville in all kinds of sectors. And then you can limit it more if you want to I'm looking for retail, or I'm looking for manufacturing, or I'm looking for government, something like that. It'll narrow it down even more. Find the right job, The Ladders, Monster, Career Builder, Snag a Job, Job.com. Again, just more potential job websites out there. Some of these will allow you to create profiles, allow you to upload resumes, and that'll give you something that employers can search and maybe find your information. It just depends on the website. You've got to decide which one you want to use. Here's the things I want you to remember. First and foremost, job searching is a tough job. It's frustrating, it's time-consuming, it's exhausting. It can stretch on for very long periods of time. You have to find a way to deal with that and not get discouraged. Because when you get discouraged, you're going to get defeated and you're going to give up, and that's not going to help you. So I recommend, when you're unemployed, the one thing you do have is time. Now, unfortunately, you spend your time worrying about finding a job, and that becomes your entire fixation. But you forget that once you get the job, you won't have time anymore like you do. So use some time. Work in some time to volunteer. Volunteer, if you got kids, volunteer at their school a couple hours a week. If you want to volunteer at the museum, 2 really good museums here in Martinsville. You've got the Science Museum, you've got the Martinsville Henry County Courthouse Museum. You can go to the library. They've got movies there you can rent. They've got books. They've got magazines. Go to the library for a couple hours once or twice a week. Sit down with a book or a magazine or a newspaper. Walk around. We've got trails you can walk. If you have a pet, take them out, meet people. You might be surprised the connections that you make. At the very least, you're going to get some exercise and you're going to take your mind off the job search because it is frustrating. It is time consuming. And always, always, always think about networking. You don't have to be intentional. Simply meeting people, introducing yourself, explaining your situation, what's going on, can lead to a connection that can profoundly influence your job search. You never know who you're talking to. You never know who they know and what they're interested in doing. Lots of people will be willing to help you because almost everyone's been in the same boat and they're willing to do what they can to help you out. Voicemail on your smartphone or on your answering machine. If it's something that is inappropriate or unprofessional, change it to something professional. If you have an email address that's not really, it's questionable. It was probably really cool when you were 16, but right now may not be great. You might want to think about setting up a whole new email address, something simple and professional. Maybe your first 4 or 5 letters of your last name and a number, just something very simple that you can tell people, but that's not going to be inappropriate or questionable. Make sure you're doing web searches of your name. Find out what's out there. You don't know what other people post about you. You need to be aware of those things because you don't want to get blindsided by something. And you certainly don't want to, and most of the times you won't know what happened. You don't want somebody else to find that out and have them not call you for a job opportunity because of that. You've got to be responsible for those things. Everything you do, professional, courteous, respectful, kind, thoughtful. People that work in any industry, in any capacity, can be helpful to you. You should be mindful of that and be aware of what you can do. And the bottom line is you're going from the job search to getting hired. That's time consuming. It's tiring. But it's up to you to take the time to very seriously think about what's out there, use the resources that are available, and constantly keep up with what's going on. Months can go by. Hopefully it won't take years, but some people do spend very long periods of time looking for a job. It's really up to you how hard you want to work on this and what you're willing to do. So always, always, always think about what the opportunities are and work for those. And everything ultimately will work out, but it's up to you and how much effort you're willing to put into it. Got any questions for me? Anything you can think of? I appreciate it. You got my contact information. You know I'm available whenever. You give me a call, I can help you with the job search and finding information, get you set up.